Steering stabilizers? What are they? Why would you even want one? Are they worth it? Name brand? Knockoff? What's the best? Yeah, we're going to get into it and we're going to talk about it today on the Radio 690 ADV. Hey, what is up? What is going on, everybody? Happy Monday. Hopefully everybody had a good weekend. I did. It was pretty good. Put some new grips on the old 690 and, getting ready for March. So anyway, steering stabilizers. You hear people talk about them. If you don't know what they are, we're going to get into roughly what they are and what they do. You'll hear guys swear by them, and you hear other guys say that I'm not really 100% on steering stabilizers. And the other thing is gosh, they're so darn expensive. they're not cheap. And why would I want to put something that expensive on my bike? Does it make a whole lot of sense? And does the cost, justify the benefit of putting on a steering stabilizer? Well, first off, let's get on to what a steering stabilizer or damper is. The steering stabilizers and the dampers, I'll be honest with you, they're real cool in what they do. If you've ever been off-road riding, either on a dirt bike or a dual sport or enduro or something like that, if you've ever ridden in rough terrain or technical terrain, and you've ever ridden over rocks or really super rutted out roads or anything like that, what happens is without a steering stabilizer, if you have one, then this is probably not going to be the podcast for you, but maybe you could put your 2 cents in down in the comment section on YouTube or on Spreaker or any of our other platforms that are on there to help out other riders that maybe are on the fence getting a steering stabilizer and help them out. But if you've ever ridden on, like rocky terrain or ruts or trying to climb hills that are off canter and things like that, well, basically, if you've ever done that on a dual sport bike, whether it be a KTM, a Honda, Kawasaki, or anything like that, well, your front end can get pretty much out of control when you hit rocks, ruts, and things like that. Because what happens is that front end with the suspension, it can get basically knocked left to right or right to left, out of your control, whether you like it or not, because it's, you're not ready for it because it's instantaneous. And it happens at basically, instantaneously. It's just one of those things. So, and that sometimes could be, that little bit of out of control can get you off of your line and get you off course just enough to where you may or may not quite make it, which could actually, put you down or make you have to stop somewhere that you didn't want to stop. It could just definitely, in one rock or rut or whatever leads to another, to another, to another. And with that happening, when you're trying to pick a line, it's really hard when your hands and your shoulders and arms, you try to keep them as square as possible riding off road in technical or rough terrain. It's real difficult to keep your line. And, a lot of times it just sometimes can keep you off track and will probably not allow you to, make it through some of the stuff that you would like to make it through. But, that's where the steering stabilizers come in. So basically the steering stabilizer, basically what it is it's It's a piece of equipment that goes on underneath your handlebars to the triple tree, or at least that's the one that I have. It's basically it's like a Scots. We're going to get into that here in a minute and talk about name brand versus, as everyone would like to say, the knockoff. But it goes underneath the handlebars, and what happens, and some go above and some connect. I mean, they come in all different flavors. So, just if you want one or you're looking for a stabilizer, you got to find one that works with your bike. So, but mine basically is just like the Scots, okay? And I'll tell you why and I got what I got and what I have, but underneath the handlebars, and then there is basically a T-bracket that connects to the frame of the motorcycle underneath the handlebars and the triple tree in the neck, and the two basically interconnect to each other. So the one is on the triple tree area by the handlebars, which will actually, it has a arm apparatus that comes out of it that is dampened. It actually has a selectable, it's like a tuner. It allow you to make it either stronger or softer. And what happens is the little arm that comes off of it, it's like pneumatic inside of there. So when you make a turn, or if you take your handlebars by jarring them left to right, what happens is any sudden movement, when it hits that from the T-arm to the actual dampener itself, it really softens that, it softens the blow like tremendously. It's so much faster because it doesn't have to sit there and think and react, because it's ready to go at any given time. So there is, there's no nothing. So it doesn't really matter. So whether you hit a curb, a rock, and if you've ever hit a rock, and what happens is, like a big rock, and you hit it with your front tire, what happens is your front tire can be jarred really quickly to either side, right or left. Whereas with a stabilizer, as soon as you hit that rock, that dampener activates instantly, and it keeps the tire and the front end true, so that it doesn't basically veer off course. And if it does, it's so subtle that it will just keep you in line pretty much as possible. So in short, basically with the device or the dampener or the stabilizer, it keeps your front end true straight, for if you're just going down, by being able to select that dial to either increase the intensity of it. I would not suggest doing it all the way on its full maximum. I think it's like a 1 to 10. It's a little selectable. It makes it difficult to turn the handlebars. So what you want to do is you want to test it out on, like, at home on a nice, just to play with it, because it is a little weird in the beginning. You don't want to dampen it too much, because if you dampen it too much, when I first got mine, and I'd never had one, I've had it for over a year now. When I first got it, I just dampened it up. I was like, I want to see what this thing will do. Well, I turned it up pretty good, and I tried to turn out of my driveway, and I almost couldn't even make a turn out of my driveway just to get out onto the road. I almost dumped my bike. I was like, wow, this thing is really intense. I said, that thing is, that's crazy. I mean, I could almost hardly turn the handlebars. So be real careful and test that out. Like, maybe test it out in your yard, your backyard, or just, in your neighborhood, by dialing that in, because it can be pretty darn intense in how much. And I mean, I'm talking like forcing it with your arms, like muscling it to turn it. So, I could see where if you're in really rough terrain, you could dial that thing in if you were just going straight, or pretty much straight, and didn't need to have too much turning in the handlebars. I mean, it literally is pretty crazy. It was pretty cool because, if you've ever, like I said, if you've ever ridden off road, man, the handlebars could just get out of control really fast. And that's just due to, it doesn't matter how strong you are. It just really helps out. If you look at all these big enduro riders and stuff like that, most all those guys have dampeners, on their bikes. Dakar racers, all those guys have dampeners on theirs. I mean, it keeps the front end from wobbling. It does there's so many different things that go along with it. It just keeps that front end true. It keeps it from getting a death wobble. If you're riding on the highway, it will improve your riding abilities off-road. It'll allow you to hone in and actually utilize your skills. Some guys will sit there and say that dampeners basically are cheaters. You should just be able to just, do it without it. But you know what? I mean, safety really is the key here. And the steering stabilizers they do a great job. And, but the question is at what cost? That's the next thing. Most guys won't get them. And the reason being, that's the next segment of this. So what they do is they keep your front end true. They allow you to ride on rough terrain with a lot more ease. They keep your bike on the highway nice and true to your front end, keeps your front end from wobbling. They're fantastic, but a lot of guys won't buy them, due to one thing. Cost. Cost. The most common one that you'll hear is Scott's, and they've been around a long time, and they're proven, they're true, and there's all different other ones. I'm just throwing Scott's out there. I'm not paid by Scott's. I don't even have a Scott's, so but it's the most common that you see. They make them for just about every bike that's out there. And that's the only reason that I'm using Scott's. Now, Scott's has been around a long time, and like I said, they make them for just about every motorcycle that's out there, and they're proven and true and everything like that. Now, here's the kicker. You got to find out which bike that you have, and then you've got to go and select and find out which, steering stabilizer you can get for that make and model. Now, I have a KTM 690 Enduro R. You may have a DRZ 400. You may have an XR 650. You may have whatever. I don't know. I'm just throwing random bikes out there. I love all motorcycles. I'm not partial to any. You're not going to hear me and sit there and say that my KTM is the best bike in the world and it's better than your bike. Don't really care. Come park your bike at my place and I'll ride it just as quick as I'll ride my 690. But with it being a KTM 690 Enduro R, Scott's makes one. It's about $600 to $700. So a lot of people have a hard time justifying that cost and putting it on their bike. They're like, you know what? I'll just deal with it. And you're right. You can deal with it and, muscle through whatever you want to do off road. I've ridden with people off road on rocky terrain and ruts and stuff like that. And they see my bike go through it versus theirs that doesn't have a steering stabilizer. And they're like, dude, your bike is it just doesn't hardly move. And I tell them exactly why. Now, I can ride a motorcycle. I don't think I'm the greatest. I don't think I'm some, whatever. I don't talk about my skills. I just go ride and let the skills show themselves. I don't sit there and put myself in front of somebody. I don't like to think I'm better than anybody, but I will say that the steering stabilizer, it does definitely help. If you're a good rider and you have a steering stabilizer, man, it's going to make you an even better rider for sure, especially off road. It's going to keep you, from laying your bike down a whole lot more, and it's going to allow you to stay on your line, much, much easier, without having to, work that bike and hop all over the road or trail or whatever it is you're on. So with the Scott's being between, $600 and $700, is it justifiable to pay for it? So if you've never ever ridden with a dampener or a stabilizer, I can honestly say yes, because I've looked at stabilizers for years. Years, and never, ever, ever pulled the trigger. I always said, man, I wonder what that's like. I've read good things about it. I'm not spending $500, or I'm not spending $400, or I'm not going to spend $600, or I'm not going to yada, 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 yada. I just wasn't going to do it. Well, I got my 690, and it does such a fantastic job off-road, even without a stabilizer. It does a great job. But I was like, man, it does such a great job. And there's just a few times that I've ridden, and it's just felt a little bit out of control. I wonder if a stabilizer, is it really, really, really worth it? So I kind of pondered. I sat around. I was like, I just can't justify $600 and something to put a Scots on my 690. Well, guess what? I didn't spend $600. And I've said it a million times, if you're willing to spend a little time and do a little research, and I'll help anybody on the planet out there. Remember, 690adv@gmail.com. Just send what you're thinking, and man, I'll do my best. I'll give you all the research I have, and I'll even do some research for you if you want me to. I love to help people out all the time. But I couldn't justify $600. So I said, there has to be something out there. I spent days upon weeks looking and looking and looking. And then I finally ran across one dampener, or stabilizer, as you want to call it, out there on eBay. And it was from China. And I know what you're thinking. Why would you buy a Chinese piece of junk? I get it. I totally do. I totally get it. And I'll probably have people that say, you're an idiot and you shouldn't have this and you shouldn't have that. Well, that's the beauty part of me versus the people that say that, is I don't care what other people think or what other people want to say. I really don't care. They can basically suck it. I don't really care. Well, it was $150 when I bought it. I think they're like $160 or $170 now, and I think that's even free shipping. You'll see it on some of my YouTube videos. And I've had that steering stabilizer for well over a year. And I figured, hey, why not? For $160, how do I lose? How do I lose? Because I can always take it off. If I don't like it and it's a piece of junk, just take it off. You know, I mean, how hard is that? But how do I lose at $150? So I pulled the trigger. I bought it. Believe it or not, I bought it, and the company that makes them shipped it to me. I had it in less than 4 business days. I was blown away. I couldn't believe how quick it got here. And most people think, yeah, it's like a Chinese piece of, garbage. It's not made well, and it's just going to fall apart, in 3 or 4 months. It's not going to hold up to anything. Well, I took it out, and I will say this. It's pretty substantially built. I'm not going to say that it's better than the Scots, and who knows, these guys may make it for Scots and they stamp Scots on there. I don't know. But what I am saying is it's very well built. It's actually very well CNC machine made. The welds are TIG welded. I mean, on the T brackets, I'm just going to tell you straight up, it's pretty fantastic. The name of it was called Savage, and I've had it on for well over a year. It doesn't come with any instructions, so I've seen guys that are putting them on, and they're having a hard time and whatever. Here's the deal. Slow down. Take your time. The rest will present itself. Don't rush anything. It's your motorcycle, man. Just have some fun with it. Don't get frustrated. Take your time and put it on. It's not rocket science. It's pretty easy. As a matter of fact, I'm actually probably going to shoot a video and just show everybody how I put mine on. And it goes on pretty easy. It's not that bad. Jeff over at East Texas ADV, he bought one and put it on his. And I just told him, look, everything is simple except for the T-bracket. And that T-bracket is the hardest part. It's like a puzzle trying to get it in there because of the way that the frame of the KTM is set up. Because it goes into the key lock housing with these extra bolts that go in there that go directly into the frame of the motorcycle. make sure if you buy one of these that you use very good Loctite so it does not back itself out, because it's a pain in the butt if you have to take it back out and redo it. I've done it, and you just want to make sure that you get it right the first time and use good Loctite. Use a strong Loctite whenever you put that in, so that way it doesn't back itself out. And also on the bolts that connect to the longer bolts that you're going to use on your handlebar brackets, so the handlebars don't come loose like it did in Arkansas with me, and a good Loctite on there, so that your handlebars aren't going up and down whenever they come loose from super rocky terrain. But that had nothing to do with the dampener or the stabilizer. But the Savage from eBay, if I can be any rest assured or put you on the right path, it's very well built. It's really nice. Jeff over at East Texas, he saw how mine worked when we went riding, and he liked it so much that he had to get one. So, and he was the same way. He's like, dude, $150, how do I go wrong? I said, I'm just telling you right now, you do what you want to do. I don't really care what anybody does. I'm not here to please anybody other than myself. If I'm happy, at the end of the day, opinions don't mean anything to me. Proof's in the pudding. And it does a fantastic job. It does exactly what it's supposed to do. It keeps me true. It makes my bike ride smoother on the highway. It's so much better off road. It's not all, bouncy. The front end doesn't get pushed out of the way. When I hit ruts and rocks and scree, I get it now. I never understood it, but I totally get it now with steering stabilizers. I now know why some guys just say, look, I won't even own a motorcycle without having a steering stabilizer on it. And I probably won't have one on all of my personal bikes. I probably will have one on every single bike that I own from here on out. But the Savage steering stabilizer, I don't know if they make them for every make and model, but they do make quite a bit that are out there. And I would say that if you could get one for your bike from me, they're very well built. They do a very good job, and you should try one. If you're on the fence and you've been looking at Scott's or some of the other ones that are out there, and cost is an issue, try it. I mean, I don't think you're going to go wrong. I think you'll be quite pleased. Just keep in mind they probably are not going to come with any instructions on how to put them on your bike. But, if you take a little bit of time, you can do it. You can put it on, and and I think you'll be quite happy, and you're going to save yourself literally 75% off of what you would paying for Scott's or another name brand that's in town. And if you've got the money to buy a name brand, man, I'm not putting down the name brand ones. What I'm saying is that if you don't have the money and you want to get one that's really actually built very well, and they're good. But if you have the money and you want to go buy a Scott's or one of the name brands from one of the dealers or something like that, go get it. There's nothing wrong with that either. I'm just one of those guys that I don't feel you have to spend $9 million to get something that's pretty good. But remember, sometimes you gamble on things like this and you get garbage. So keep that in mind too. So just because it's made in China does not necessarily mean that it is a piece of junk. You just need to understand that, sometimes you got to step off a ledge to realize, if you've ever seen Indiana Jones in The Last Crusade, sometimes you got to step off a ledge and you don't realize there's something there, and it's there. So, but sometimes you fall. So keep that in mind too. So, but steering stabilizers, this is kind of what they are. And if you're a new rider, or if you've been around a while and you've been on the fence about getting a stabilizer, hopefully this helps you out a little bit. And we'll put you on the path to potentially, get you to where you're you'll have more stabilization on your bike and allow you to ride off road a lot better, especially if you're an adventure rider. That's what I like to do. I like to adventure ride, and it really, truly, it has improved my off-road capabilities tremendously. Anyway, I'm Joe, Radio 690 ADV. Remember, if you need anything, 690adv@gmail.com. Just shoot me up, hit me an email, and don't forget, check out all of our videos on YouTube, youtube.com/690ADV. We have hundreds of them. And if you need anything, don't forget, just hit us up on an email. We appreciate you. You guys have a fantastic week. Try to get out and ride if the weather's pretty good. I know there's a lot of rain coming across the country right now. We're getting hit with it here in Texas. But it's getting close, man. Starting in March, man. Like I said, I got some new grips, man, on my bike. And getting ready for March, man. I'm trying to get the bike all prepped up because as soon as March gets here, it's adventure season, man. It's time to get out and time to get lost. So you guys have a fantastic day, and 690 out.